Good morning, welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Right, we're live this time, better than the half version which we did last week. Apologies, the throat was really rough, and as you can tell right now, it's still not 100% still. Anyway, getting into today's topics which we'll be covering. Number one, I have superior maneuverability. That was Austin's last words, which we will take a look at in just a few moments' time. What else we got? While on the topic of maneuverability, we'll be discussing the right wing spec wing, which I've got here next to me. Yeah, unfortunately, it's got optional accessories on it at the moment because someone stuffed it in a tree. That'll be in a later episode. Topic number 3 is new models which are on the way, and there is a big point in that one which I'm gonna hammer home, and excuse the terms on that, just make a real point on that one, because I'm frankly disgusted by some of the stuff which I found on YouTube lately, and it's been around for a long time. It's probably never going to go away, but we'll bring that up as a topic as well. Topic number 4 is actually it is the big topic for today. It's that all my models weigh exactly 249 grams, and if you're wondering why I'm saying that, is because they do weigh 249 grams, and we will be we're going to go slightly off topic. We're going to be talking about the news in general and why it's self-fulfilling, and also perhaps why you shouldn't even bother with it. And then we're going to have a chat about UK drone registration and why it's flawed, and perhaps why DJI products should potentially be banned as well, which is my point of view, and you're more than welcome to jump in on this one. And this is the nice thing about these RC Coffee Chats, they're all points of view, and you're more than welcome to share your own. So give you a quick heads up, if you don't think DJI products should be banned, you can let me know either in the live chat, which is going on right now, or if you're watching the recorded version, pass across your point of view in the comments section underneath this video. So let me just go and quickly check. Loud and clear, happy days, fantastic. And by the way, we almost had no audio this morning because I did a quick go through my normal checks and there was no audio bar on OBS this morning. Right, let's move into topic number 1. And this one was absolutely hilarious, and I need to set the scene for you because it was absolutely brilliant. On Sunday, we went flying. The weather report basically has said between 6 a.m. overnight up to midday, it was going to be perfectly flyable, sunshine, etc., etc. And then from 12 onwards, it was supposed to be rain. So we thought we'd take a punt and see what it was like. We got there early, got there for about 8:05. Andy was already there, and then Craig turned up a couple of minutes later, and then we had a good couple of hours of flying, all to about 11 o'clock, and then it started raining. Wasn't that great, and it was a horrible drizzle as well. So we had the canopy up, and we were just chatting about life, etc., etc. And then there was like a break in the rain, and everybody went out and flew their models. And then it started raining more severely, and we went back underneath the tent and had a chit chat, and then it kind of went off, and then by that time we'd thought screw it, and we were just flying around in the rain as you do, and then we missed. We got into the afternoon and most of the rain had passed, in short, and it cleared up, and what actually turned out to be an absolutely fantastic day in the end. And the thing is that once it starts, we were all like eager to go flying. So we all went up and we were flying FPV, and we need to press play on this video because that little wing down there at the bottom, that was the Hornet wing, and we're actually on board with Andrew Z84, and we got Austin flying around in there. So you didn't see him there in the background. I've got a link to this video in the video description, and Austin is flying around in a mini Skywalker, which is a tiny little model, and they're really good fun in the short and pretty damn robust, because I've seen what Austin's done to his. Almost guaranteed every week it's in a hedge, but it's got bright Illumis camo paint on top of it, which makes him stand out a mile. And we're there on the flight line, and we're all chasing him around. We're just chasing the novice, as you do, you know. And with that, Austin comes out with, because we're all there trying to tag him, as you do, and he comes out with a one-liner, I have superior maneuverability. And he's just rolled that one out, and then this kind of happens. Now, in my head, I thought I tapped the wing on his side, and if you watch, yeah, I did kind of fly into the back of him, and literally, as he finished, I have superior maneuverability. I kind of flew into the back of him, and he landed. And of course, carried on flying, and off we went. So it was absolutely hilarious. I know it's one of those situations where you had to be there to experience it, but we got it on some DVR footage. Big hat tip to Andrew B for actually posting it. It was funny as you can put whatever you want in there. Good morning, Bruce, by the way, and we will get to Shout Out Corner as well in a few moments' time. And by the way, you can see the chat going on above my head. Now, on the topic of maneuverability, as many of you, again, I'm assuming you've been following along the story with the spec wing, and this is the spec wing, and it has had a few issues. Specifically, you can't do a bunt maneuver on it, which is basically you're flying across the flight line, got some height on, and then you do a reverse loop. Every time you do that, it was dropping the left wing. So I made up some nice cord flute little wingtips to go on the end. Which that's the wrong one, and unfortunately I've really got half of the other one. Well, did you expect anything less, you know? For it. The other half, well, I've actually got it in my bag. I ripped half of it off in a tree. Anyway, I put some nice big wing fences on the end, and that kind of, I was thinking, well, that adds quite a lot of yaw stability to it. Maybe that will stop the air rushing off the wing, because these have reversed little wing fences on them. Maybe that will stop the air rushing off the ends, and that will stop its ability to stall on itself. And in fact, adding these made it even worse. It caused itself to go into a death spiral, and I only just saved it as well. And I've got that on video footage. So, yeah, the spec wing is absolutely fantastic for chucking around. I'm really, really happy with the setup which I've got on this one, which is the mini Talon motor setup, the X2216 1250 kV motor with an 8x6 prop on the back. Brilliant combo. You can cruise around at a really good pace at 7 amps, so you're getting like I'm getting between 12 to 15 minutes worth of flight time, and not really pushing around on the throttle, just getting a really good pace on to be able to get into a flow to go between trees. And I'll get some flight footage up, and you'll see what I mean about a flow. Or not a flow in a few circumstances. But yeah, really, really happy with the powertrain setup which I've got. It's just that I need to go really, really careful on what I do with aerobatics with that model, because it will bite you if you're not careful, which is a bit of an unexpected one for that one. You can't do the normal things which you can do with like the Hardcore 40, for example, or another flying wing. It just has that, it will snap out on you the second you try and do any harsh maneuvers to go round inverted. Flying inverted, it's fine. Once it's over, it's over. It's more of like the process of going inverted by going forwards and then down into a bump maneuver. It just doesn't like that at all. And it might be the combination of the no wing fence at the end and the torque roll from the motor and the prop. I don't know, but whatever combo I've got, it's not great. But as overall, I'm actually really, really happy, and I smashed it hard around the trees over the weekend, and I will get some video footage up from that flight, because it was absolute bloody fantastic fun, because I've really got my head around the trees at that flying site, which you can see there in the background, and I have got myself a nice little circuit which I can get used to now, and some of the moves which you pull on it are absolutely brilliant, because you're basically flying blind, and you've got to rely on knowing that the gap is there as you're up on one side, and you just pull back on the sticks, and then the gap appears in front of you, and then you're off carrying on around the rest of the circuit. So do look out for the video sometime in the future on the spec wing. Do have a nice circuit going on, and we do have a few unscheduled landings in it, to say the least. Now, actually, let's go to Shout Out Corner. It's my favourite section, so why don't we do, let's have a quick look at your comments on there. Alan says, it is up to the DGA, to the coral idiots that are killing the hobby, giving us a bad name, and tell the bats to lay off too. Yeah, and if you don't know what Alan's talking about, there was a reported drone strike in Australia, and it turns out It was a great big bloody fruit bat. 1 metre wingspan, huge great big thing. I'm sure it would fit on my barbecue, so I hope they saved it. Anyway, on to a serious point. Let's move across to Shout Out Corner. This is where I get to say a very good morning to you, good afternoon, or good evening, as the case may be. Lee was on here early this morning, the same as Alan as well. Good morning, Brad. Too. Good morning, Elijah. And Elijah, quick note for you, fella. So, if those of you which are not in the Facebook group, you might not know what I'm talking about. Elijah made the flight test, the little blue thing which they had on. I saw a photo of it. Looked pretty cool. Don't stop on it. Have another go at it. It's only foam board, you know, so you're only like a couple of dollars down in short. So give it another punt. So well done on that one, fella. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Phil. Good morning, Henry, as well. Phil, I'm actually on my second one this morning, so I'm going to pause for a quick sip because I can hear my voice going a bit croaky. So apologies. Do remember this is being recorded live. Akoy, good morning. Chai, good morning. RC Air, good morning. Gordon, good morning. Jeff, good morning as well. Philip, good morning. Roddy, good morning as well. Olin, Extra, Sir Bruce, as many of you know, good morning as well. Raj, good morning. And I think I've been and covered everybody. Right, so XJet says, does it have a bottom aerofoil? That's what we have on the bottom. We've got a couple of wing fences on the bottom, and I don't know what you can see from there. What the thing is with the right wing models is on the top, they do seem to dip in the middle. That seems to be a common theme across them, so it does channel the air in them. It's just these, I don't know. I'm doing things with the wing which is probably not meant for. It's a spec wing. It's meant for racing, and I'm using it to smash around trees and do stupid stuff with it. So no wonder I'm running into issues. And yes, I did move the rear is supposed to run on a much higher kV motor, and I did move the wing fences out an inch either side because I had a specific setup in mind for this model beforehand. So do keep this in the back of your mind. It's probably fine if you were using it as a true race wing, because you wouldn't be doing stupid stuff with it, whereas I am doing stupid stuff with it, and I have modified it quite heavily. Yeah, all in all, it actually does exactly what I wanted it for, was something which is pretty damn robust. It's double laminated on purpose because I know that I'm just going to be smashing it in. I was going to say in, but that's more like it. I'll probably be smashing it into trees because I will be flying it in and around trees on purpose at a decent pace with it. So has it fulfilled what I wanted it to be? Yeah, in short, it has. And again, it wasn't a cheap model by any stretch of imagination. I'm kind of happy with the setup. So anyway, more carbon that. It does come with an awful lot, to say the least, by the way, Brad. And good morning, Van, as well. Baby Bugatti, that was it, Elijah. So you can see the chat going on above my head, and I'm looking over there at it. Now, topic number 3 this morning is something which is really starting to grate in me. Okay, it's grated it for me a long time, and I'm going to put it on there. Now, I'm really sick of editorial. Okay, there's editorial, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, is that it goes through someone's opinion and they pass on views to you, whatever that may be. We're not talking about just RC stuff, but just a wider thing. But there is a topic called editorial, which is its sole intention is to promote a product or a service. And the thing is that this is starting to be done without any note that the person who is presenting the video is going to profit from what is being covered. And the bit which really grates me is that I was looking up for some details on a specific quad part. I'm not even going to mention what it is because I don't want to mention what the channel is. All I'm going to say is that they're rather popular, and all it is just full-blown editorial. And it's such a shame that it goes that way. Now, I'm not saying there isn't value in the video which I was watching at the point in time, but it is such a shame. So there is a big point which I want to make. I've got a couple of models on the way to me. We're going to take a quick look at them right now. And I'd like to stress right from the off, they're all bought out of my own money. If they're shit, you're going to find out about them. If they're good, you're also going to find out about it. Okay? Because keep in the back of your mind, I bought them out of my own money. And this is the whole pretense of what I set the channel up as. is that I'm going to stick some cash down, we're going to go and buy some models, and we're going to find out if they're any good. I can't think I can make them any more unbiased than that. And with that in mind, there is a little black wing. And again, I want to be 100% transparent with you. The links which are in the video description, they're affiliate links. So if you go on and use them and purchase a product from Banggood, for example, you will be supporting the channel. Happy days. Okay, and by the way, that's all it takes is that one-liner, which is desperately missing. Anyway, there's a little black wing. Now, this one's a really curious one because the nearest thing to compare to it is a Wing Z84. And frankly speaking, I think a Wing Z84 is completely untouchable. So this one is kind of like doomed from the start. If it gets anywhere near, I'm going to be frankly surprised because, again, I do feel the best 30 quid which you could ever spend on any RC model is a Wing Z84. But we'll take a look at this one. It's made out of molded EPP, a common theme which we're seeing at the moment. Much tougher material than EPO foam. But there is a real odd curiosity on this one. I need to find the right photograph because it's a little bit concerning wherever the right photograph is. He says he'll try and find it. Nope, I'm not finding it. So we scroll down and see if we got it in there. Photos in the listing. Well, you can just no. Scroll down. Yeah. I don't know. My head's in. No, in fact, the chat is in the way. I don't know if you can see that above my head. Is just here with that propeller. That's the suggested setup is an 1806 motor. But unfortunately, it looks like the 1806 motor is going to carve the foam on the back of it. So apparently they're doing a plug-and-play version, which comes with an 1806 motor, when in reality, I think you're going to end up chopping the foam off the back. So real odd curiosity. Now, I think I've got some notes on this one. What WTF, I'm sure you know what that means, is going on the motor mount section. No way is an 1806 motor going to be suitable for that. It's just going to rub on the back of it. To say the least. Now, the other curiosity is how it's going to handle in the sky because it's got really big wing fences. In fact, let me just move that out of the way and put that on that tab, like so. It's got really tall wing fences and it's got very little washout on the wingtips. So if we think about a Z84, they've got quite thick vertical stabilizers and we have quite a lot of washout on the wingtips. Probably using the incorrect terms, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Is it going to, with its really tall winglets and very little washout, is it going to be stable in the sky? Don't know. It's a bit of an unanswered question on there on how stable it's going to be. The other one is, can we cram in a 2200 3S? Can we cram in a 2200 4S into the front of it? That's the curiosity on there. And am I going to end up having to cut out, so I can scroll down on the lid, am I going to have to end up cutting out that camera mount on the top of it so I can fit more battery in there? Don't know just yet. There's a lot of unanswered questions on here, yeah, I've already set this one. Will it last more than one battery? So when we do get this one arrive, I do fully expect to absolutely rag the nuts off it and see how it holds up with abuse. If you think back to the Sky Shadow S800, which we had here, I purposely started that set of that series on the S800 with a specific objective in mind, which that I wasn't going to do boring reviews on it. I was going to hit a tree as fast as possible and see if it survived. And I think I promptly hit the dead man's arm twice within the first FPV flight. And then we stuck it in a tree at about a ton as well, and it survived. So that's why I rate the S800. I flew, and there's no one else here, which I know of, which can say, I flew the S800 into a tree at a ton and it survived. Granted, we had to put some glue in it to repair it, but I think it pretty damn good. So when someone says about a starting wing, you go, well, and they want FPV, well, the S800 is a really good wing because I've stuffed it in a tree and it actually survived. So with that in mind, there's two models. Now, I want to give you a quick heads up on this. Sonicmodell and ZOHD is the same company. Sonicmodell have registered the trademark ZOHD, and it's the same company. So we got two different wings coming out from the same manufacturer, but with two different names on them. And there is a, what was it, the RCMC, the American company, They've brought out their recruit version as well, which is of this one of the AR Wing. So it's great to see an American company working with an Eastern supplier, a Far East supplier, to customize a model to their own market. I think that's absolutely fantastic. But for all intents and purposes, as I can see, they're like for like. They've just changed the stickers, which is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Stickers look pretty good on the other version. And yeah, so we've got those on the way, and we will be giving them the same kind of stress test as well, because we need to keep these as real life as possible. You are going to hit stuff with it. What is their layout like? Is it? How can you live with the model? And ultimately, is it worth the $80 or however much was paid for it? We need to keep that in the back of our heads as well. And again, that model is never going to be a sport. It's not going to be like a sport wing where you're going to, well, yeah, sorry, you class it as a sport wing rather than as a racing wing. The cord's just far too thick, etc., etc. But again, being made out of molded EPP foam, it should be pretty damn tough. So yeah, there's on the back of the S800 wing, there's two new models coming out, very similar attributes. Which one's better? Which one should you spend your money on if you're looking for a new wing? Don't know. So we got both of these on the way, and we'll find out what they're like very, very shortly. And of course, I mentioned this in the Espresso coffee chat last week. We do have the Nano Talon on the way to me now. I am a little bit worried about this one because it only runs on 2 servos. So you've got a servo in the middle which does both of the ailerons, and you've got a servo at the back which does the elevator only, which is a little bit peculiar. And again, I think it's molded EPP as well. I'm a little bit hesitant on this one, again, because it's so bloody expensive. Excuse me, $105. I know it's the plug and play version, but we're still, there's no kit version available. So we got one of those on the way to us. So if you've seen the Nano Talon and thought it looks pretty cool, I think it looks pretty cool. If it gets anywhere near the full-size Talon, it's going to be classed as happy days. But there are so many curiosities around that model. I'd probably suggest not buying one, at least till we go and get first glances at it to see what on earth they've been and done with that model, because it ain't cheap. There's a lot of other models out there which you can get even as plug and play versions for $105. Is it going to be worth the money? Don't know right now. And that brings us back full circle, is I've bought that one out of my own money. If it is not worth it, you're going to find out about it. Or if it is, we'll find out. Happy days. And apologies, I've not really seen the chat here in the background. So let's have a quick look at the one. Get fiber. Right. Good morning, Thomas, by the way. Again, apologies, I've not really looked at the chat going on here as well in the background. So, like I said, I always watch these afterwards to see what you're, because as I'm doing this live, I can't actually see your comments going on. Right, on to the last kind of topic today. Now, this is kind of a longer one, okay, and a little bit of a deeper one, and I'm sure you're not gonna, some of you are just not gonna agree with me, in short, on what I'm about to say, and that's okay. This is saying it's up for a debate, okay? And if you feel any differently to me, then you can either let us know in the live chat, which is going on right now, in the comments section underneath this video. But in short, we've got a serious issue going on here at the moment, which is, and we can mention one company because that seems to be the root cause of what the issue here is. And let me just get right. So we need to build up to this one in short. So let's talk about the news. Okay. Now I do need to look at my notes on here. Now define news. News is defined as newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent events. Okay, so that is the definition of news. Now, that's the issue. Okay, is the reality is that there's very little stuff going on in the world which is actually newsworthy, and especially down at a local level as well. So to be able to present the news, we do get a lot of other crap thrown in with it as well. So, for example, on a dry day, they'll leverage like back burner topics. So they'll start their own topic or create their own feedback loop okay, to run like an ongoing series for a news item, which really isn't a news item. It's been self-created. For example, drones, for all intents and purposes, is actually a back burner topic. Now, it's blown out of proportion because an editor or editors out there just really like the words drone, because they love to be able to drone on. And they've painted it in such a picture that it has quite a negative image, which is now being portrayed to the general public, which has been designed by the news. And they are now in full flow of creating their own feedback loop, which is ever escalating. So because there is a lack of news, which is newsworthy, okay, because it goes back to the definition, newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent events. To be honest, there isn't that much of interest going on in locally to you or in the world. Now, you need to keep that in the back of your mind, because I do have some very specific opinions on news. Now, one of those opinions is that I do not watch the news. Now, that may be a shocker to you. Okay, Matt, don't you watch TV? Don't you watch what's going on in the news? Don't you feel it's important? The reality is, for the last 8 years, probably more, I don't even remember when I made the decision. Well, I do actually remember when I made the decision. I remember the house I was living in at the time. But we'll say, for all intents and purposes, 8 years ago, I stopped watching the news. Now, unbelievably, has anything bad happened to Matt? No, it hasn't. And that's the thing. And again, I've got some notes, so I need to bring them over here so it's a little bit more readable. You have to excuse me a moment. Let me move them over there a touch. Let's get them out. So I'm like half looking at you on there. So let me move that over the way. What we got? Yeah, 99% of the reported news out there does not have any direct or indirect immediate effect to anything I do or you do. That is just the stark reality. And then when you do watch the news, unfortunately, when I do get caught on it, is that invariably it's about stuff going on in a different country, which has absolutely no impact on anything which I do or you do on a day-to-day basis. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, I wrote in there, ask yourself a question. When was the last time you actually watched the news? And did you watch or hear anything which would impact you on a day-to-day basis? Okay, literally, is it going to affect what you do today? And the reality is no. Okay, if there is something which is really important, which you need to know about, it will get to you through friends, family, and other people who watch the news. Okay, and that's what happens. Apparently, and again, and this is going to be really bad, I am so ill-informed on this. Apparently, some flats burnt down here in the United Kingdom because of some boarding on the side. That is as much as I know. That is as much as I know. And it's whatever went on, I'm sure was really, really sad and was probably newsworthy at the point in time. But the actual details, I don't know. Okay, that's as much as I know about that event. And when other big events happen, then they'll appear on Facebook, or I'll find out from the wife, for example, or we'll find out here by an event like such as one of the major water mains here in Bristonia blew out, and we went a day without water. Of course I was interested in that. That had dramatic effect on my day-to-day life. Everything else, utter rubbish. So I'm actually going to urge you not to watch the news because it's absolutely terrible. Crazy. What's that in the background? Let's have a quick look. Jazzy says, yes, it is Matt, you have flown 7K in models and burnt one in a mixer. Yes, absolutely. And I'm just looking at Van's comment in there. And again, you're more than welcome to make your point on the news. But what I've personally found over the last 8 years is news kind of fulfills someone else's agenda. Obviously, there are topics, which I'm sure you can think of a couple of topics, which are of importance and you probably should know about, okay? But on a day-to-day basis, the news which is covered, in fact, if you want to listen to news, listen to the traffic report, because that's going to likely to have more impact on you on a day-to-day basis than finding that someone's little kitten has got stuck down a drain, you know? So, yeah, news drives me nuts, and I keep myself far away from that as possible. Now, this does bring us on to something which is basically flawed Okay, and unfortunately, it's one of those things. Remember, I said about those things which, if it is important, and I probably should know about it, it will pop up in my day-to-day activities. And with that, it did pop up in my day-to-day activities, which is apparently the UK government, which would like to introduce some drone registration. Now, I am actually going to make the point for this one that it is flawed in what they're doing, mainly because anybody who is going to do anything illegal is not going to register. Okay, so all it is the government being seen to be able to do something about a situation which has been blown out of all proportion because the news creators have got bored because there's been a lack of news and created themselves a loop about it. So it's then got into government and they need to be seen to be doing something about it. So it will happen because the government needs to be seen to be doing something. But it's not getting to the root cause of the issue, which is my issue, which is the point which I'd like to bring out on here. Now, keep in the back of your mind, those are people who are going to do something illegal are going to go on and do it anyway, and they will never register. So if Ray wants to drop some weed to his mates in prison using a quad, of course he's going to do that. And is he going to register? Is he? Fuck. You know, straightforward as that. Just idiotic. So that person isn't going to do it. Now let's look at the other side. Is that maybe the more experienced hobbyist, okay, who knowingly is going to bend some rules, okay? They take a well-educated point of view and they keep away from flight lines. They fly in the middle of bloody nowhere, you know? And are they going to register? Reality is probably not, is the answer to that. Now, this kind of brings us back. The government's got to do something, and it has got to be seen to be doing something. And I would actually like to say that, make the point that the root of all evil right now is actually DJI. Nobody's actually come out and said it's DJI. And why am I saying this is the root cause? Well, basically, they've been and created a consumer-grade product, which any idiot, and talking of idiots, there was a bloke here in the news, which again. I'm really sorry the chap, what is his name? James Andrew. I'm really sorry to genuinely on a bloke, but make a point here. That's not nice, okay? But on a serious point, grabbing a quad, something which has got 8 knives spinning around on it out of the sky, is probably not the best idea. And unfortunately, you've probably learned that one the hard way on that one. But anyway, making the point, any old idiot can grab a quad and do stupid stuff with it, and it's a consumer product. It's a consumer product which they can buy, and they've made it mainstream. So what happens if you remove the mainstream product, which is the root cause of the issue, which allows the complete novice with no previous understanding, and again, I know Sir Bruce has covered this in more detail, the person who has no understanding on the mechanics of the device at all, what it's do, whether in a negative event, how dangerous the device can be, if even just the operator or someone close to it, let alone flying into restricted airspace or doing something really daft with it. So what happens if DJI was basically banned in the United Kingdom? Would that solve the issue? Would that start removing the idiots which have the devices, which seem to be the major strain of issues? When you start looking on YouTube, there was that daft twat in Israel. I think it was Israel, I must get that right, which did the videography of the models coming into land. The real size airplanes coming into land, right near to land. Tel Aviv, let me get that right, which is the airplanes coming into land. How can that happen? In short, and of course it was the DJI products on there, and then when you watch every other, like the offending articles on there, DJI, the product is most likely a DJI product. So why don't you just call the issue point blank and get rid of them, okay? Or if that is too distasteful, how about as part of the registration process, so when you set up your new device, you have to go through and then go to the BMFA website and sign up for insurance. And then perhaps the quad or the device is then severely limited in its abilities until you enter your A-test passcode. which is not unfeasible. It's all in a database, it's all being recorded, and maybe that will help with the education issue, which is the primary cause of the problem here. You have a novice with a very capable device which has been dumbed down so that a novice can use it. Unfortunately, the novice can do things with it which are perhaps distasteful for others, hence why the government needs to be seen to be able to do something. So why not limit the again, if they're not willing to actually get rid of the root cause, I'm presenting that cause as being DJI. And by the way, I didn't really give a shit. I'm never going to own a Phantom or any of their other devices. And remember, this channel is unsponsored in every shape and form. So these are all my raw views on this. So why not just get rid of the issue? Or if we have to put up with the issue, make it a more palatable approach and include insurance with it. Make it apparent that there are rules which they need to abide by, and then severely limit what they can do with the device until they've been and passed their A test. Now, I'm also aware that some of you are going to say, well, you could go and get a quadcopter, racing quadcopter off a Chinesian website, so for example, Banggood, and do similar stuff with it. And I would probably say, yes, you could. But that person who's been and bought that dedicated racing drone has probably got a much better idea on the components which are going to be in that device because they've been and watched it from another source. And they're more than likely to go out with their buddies and then go and fly together and then get more involved in the hobby rather than being a Joe Public consumer who's been and bought a quad because he wants to do some 4K photography of whatever. Okay, he wants to go off and see the suspension bridge and stuff like that. So, hey ho. No, sorry. I've literally just turned over and looked at the chat on here. My favourite quote: "Reach for the sky, rules of the guidance of the wise men, and obedience of fools." Absolutely. It is, yeah, very, very frustrating. And I just feel like someone just needs to come out and say, DJI, that is actually the cause here. So why not just get rid of the cause? Might sound a bit harsh to you, but the government wants to put in some drone registration rules. Well, it would actually just be easier just to get rid of that, and that would cause most of the issues to go away almost immediately. And if they're unwilling to do that, perhaps not so harsh. Okay, and I am taking a very hard line on this one because I feel that it needs to be said, so I'm sure you can appreciate that, is that maybe make it more difficult and to, as part for the sillier stuff to be done and to put an actual process in place. So as far as the UK bringing out UK drone registration, I feel that the government is obliged to do this. They have to do that because the news, the media has created such a farce about it. So they have to do something. They need to be seen to be doing something. On the flip side, I would argue, I'm sure you guys, those of you in the States probably had the same argument as well. I'm already registered for BMFA insurance. Already got my details. Want to link up with the BMFA and do it that way. I don't know. It's an awkward situation to be in. But as far as I'm concerned, all my models, they weigh 249 grams. And I've measured them here with the digital scales. And no, you can't come round to my house and measure them and weigh them. And I did nick that from Mr. Snafu. So Mr. Snafu, that was a classic line. I did laugh my boobies off to that when I read that one. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, all my models weigh 249 grams. So they must be exempt. And my scales, it's working perfectly. Anyway, right. So let's have a quick look, recap of what we've been and covered here this morning. Again, I'm sorry it's got off into politics. I really don't do politics, as I'm sure you're aware, because my point of view on politics is get rid of the fucking problem. That is the problem. Get rid of it. That's what I do as a business owner. When you're a business owner and you're presented with a challenge, then your role as the business owner is to adapt or to move or to remove the issue which you're faced with. And if you have the ability, which a government would have the ability to remove a whole product from being sold, they have the ability to it. So it's harsh. I know it is the view which I've taken on it, and I feel that it does need to be said. So anyway, let's get back to what we covered in today's RC Coffee Chat. Number one, Austin's flight. You got to have a watch of that. I couldn't have, the timing on it just could not have been any better. Poor Austin. I literally flew into the back of him. Timing on that was absolutely brilliant. The spec wing. Yeah, all in all, I'm happy with it. You just can't do bunts with it, in short, because it will just go crazy bonkers on you. But I will get some video footage out for you this week on the spec wing. And like I said, I have found my own little route in and around the trees, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the flight because we have more than one unscheduled landing in it. We do have some new foam on the way. We've got that little black wing, which is a bit of an unknown. Will the 1806 motor carve it a new one on its arse end? Who knows? We'll find out about that one shortly. And again, I do have some 1806 motors here. And again, I've bought the kit version because I hate plug-and-fly versions because the parts always seem to be inferior. So I've bought the plug-in, the kit version of that one. We'll see what it's like. Again, we've got some unanswered questions on what it flies like, what the battery size is, what the motor is, and a few other minor details as well. Unanswered on that one. So if you've seen that one, hold off. It's bought. As soon as it comes in, I'll let you know. Well, we'll do a live unboxing or something like that on it. And the same for the Nano Talon. There's a lot of unanswered questions about that one. And also, we are going to be having a shootout between the AR wing and the ZOHD Orbit wing as well. Light for light models. Which one is better value for money? Don't know. All I can tell you that a tree will be involved in that experiment as well. Then we had a chat about the news and how it works. Okay, those are my personal views. Okay, whether you like them or not, they're my views, and you're open to your own opinion. And you please share what your opinion on this is. Again, apologies, I've not really kept an eye on the chat here today. But if you look underneath this video, there's a comment section. Pass on your views. Do you feel that banning DJI completely would that actually solve the issue? Okay, imagine if that actually happened. The UK government banned DJI products. Would that be a good thing? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. You can do that in the comment section underneath this video. And again, we are stuck in this little media frenzy at the moment because there's very little news. That's why even on local news, they talk about stuff which is going on nationally or even internationally, because they're struggling for stuff, because stuff which is noteworthy or newsworthy is generally far and few between. Yeah, then we spoke about UK drone registration. It will happen, in short. Do I think it's a load of rubbish? Of course I do. Will it stop those which are going to bend or break the rules for different reasons? Of course it's not. But the government is in a place where it needs to be seen to the general public, because the news have whipped up a frenzy around it because they don't have anything better to do. Then they've got to be seen to be doing stuff. So will I register? Kind of have to, in short. Straightforward as that. As long as I don't have to pay £5 per model, I'd be absolutely skint if we had to do that. But is it a bad thing? No, I don't think it's a bad thing. The government are in an awkward situation. They need to do something. They need to be seen to be doing something. And as a presenter, I need to be seen to be playing along with the rules, you know. So the reality is that yes, I will do. And although that most of my models weigh 249 grams, very awkward position to be put in, unfortunately whipped up by external parties. And I'm actually going to say that DJI is the root of all evil here, whether it's their own fault or by the novices which use the devices. Because you could say I made the Stanley blade, which I don't have here, and it's up to the user to exercise their own judgment. But there are... Anyway, that's the topics for today. I'd like to say a massive thank you to joining me here today for today's RC Coffee Chat. We don't normally do politics. I normally keep a million miles away from it. But so much going on here which directly impacts us as pilots, as RC hobbyists. It did need to get discussed. Like I said, any views which you have on this, you can share them down in the comment section underneath this video. And I would like to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been and joined us here live. And it's just seen David and Alistair have been here and joined us in the background as well. So on that note, it is time for me to go. I would like to say a massive thank you. And it's this cold now. Still drinkable. To you for joining me here live for today's RC Coffee Chat. Any comments like that, I'm going to make the stress a point. Any comments, good, bad, or ugly, you can let me know in the comments section underneath this video. And on that note, it's time for me to go and do some work. If you're out flying today, have fun. Please stick a battery in for me, because here in the United Kingdom of wetness, I don't know if you can hear the rain here in the background, it's going to be tipping it down all day today, so no flying at all for me today. So if you are going to be out flying this evening or this afternoon, chuck a battery for me and rag the nuts off it. So on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you for joining me here live today, and I'll see you again next Wednesday, same time. Cheerios!